Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to this video lecture. So, in this video lecture, we shall discuss on highway drainage. So, myself, Manjunath Vesi, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, REC, Hulkoti. So now introduction. Okay. So highway drainage is a process of removing and controlling excess surface and subsoil water within the right of way. So this includes interception and diversion of water from the road surface as well as subgrade. So the installation of suitable surface and subsurface drainage system is an essential part of highway design and construction. Okay. So providing a proper highway drainage to the highways is one of the very integral part of highway engineering. So most of the failures as far as pavement is concerned, so is due to water. Okay, so as and when water comes in contact with the pavement surfaces or even pavement subgrade or highway subgrade, so the pavement is likely to fail in number of ways. So it is important that we need to avoid that water coming into contact with the pavement materials. So for that reason, so we require a proper and adequate highway drainage system. Okay, so now importance of highway drainage. An increase in moisture content causes decrease in strength or stability of the soil mass. The variation in soil strength with moisture content also depends on the soil type, mode of stress application, and mode of stress application. So highway drainage is important because of the following reasons. So we shall discuss the importance of highway drainage in the form of points. So the first point goes like this. Excess moisture in soil subgrade causes considerable lowering of its stability. The pavement is likely to fail due to subgrade failure. So when there is excess moisture present in the subgrade, obviously it will lower the stability of the soil subgrade. So hence the subgrade of the pavement is going to fail. So the second point, increase in moisture content cause reduction in strength of many pavement materials like stabilized soil and waterborne macadam. So as and when there is increase in a moisture content, so obviously the pavement materials is likely to fail. Even if you consider this bituminous material, pavement material, or waterborne macadam or stabilized soil material, so the strength of these materials is likely to decrease. So the third point, in some clay soils, variations in moisture content causes considerable variation in flume of the soil subgrade. So this sometimes contributes to pavement failure. So as we all know that clay soil is likely to change its volume as and when it comes in contact with the water. Hence, so we need to avoid as far as possible that especially in case of clay soils, we need to avoid the water that is likely to come in contact with the pavement materials. And then sustained contact of water with bituminous pavements causes failures due to stripping of the bitumen from aggregates like loosening and detachment of some of the bituminous pavement layers and formation of potholes. As we already know that, so bitumen is a hydrophobic material. That means, so it does not like water. As and when it comes in contact with the water, the bitumen is likely to detach itself from the aggregates, so thereby making it loose aggregates. So once the loose aggregates are there, due to repetition of loads, those aggregates will come out of the pavement, so thereby forming potholes, which is one of the important, one of the major failure of the flexible pavement. So then even sometimes formation of waves and corrugations in flexible pavement occurs due to poor drainage system. So in places where freezing temperature are prevalent, that means, so as and when there is a moisture present in the pavement materials, okay, different layers of the pavement, especially subgrade. So when freezing temperature prevalent or occur, that water is likely to freeze and form a ice. So once there is increase in temperature of the subgrade, so that ice formed is likely to melt, so thereby forming a void. So due to this reason, due to this frost action, the pavement is likely to fail. So apart from these points, there are other points like in case of rigid pavement, so mud pumping is likely to occur. So when you allow the water to penetrate through this concrete slabs through joints, that soil material present below the slab so will become slurry, will form a slurry. Okay, Okay, so due to the repeated application of wheel loads, that slurry start to come out of the pavement. So there, that failure is called as mud pumping. And also in case of slopes, especially in case of embankments, so the water flowing on the slopes of the embankment will cause erosion. So hence, in order to avoid all these things, we need to provide a pavement with a proper drainage system, surface as well as subsurface drainage system. So now next we shall see what are the requirements of highway drainage system. The surface water from the carriageway and shoulder should effectively be drained off without allowing it to percolate to subgrade and weaken the soil. Obviously, as soon as rain occurs, so the water from the pavement surface shoulder should be effectively drained off. So we should not allow that water to percolate or penetrate to the below layers. So the second point, the surface water from the adjoining land should be prevented from entering the roadway. So not only the water from the pavement surface, also the pavement that is likely to come from the adjoining land should also be prevented to come in contact with the different pavement layers. The side drain should have sufficient capacity and longitudinal slope to carry away all the surface water collected. So that means whatever the drain we are going to design, so it should have sufficient capacity to carry all the water, all the storm water that is likely to come from the pavement surface as well as from the adjoining land. So in order to do that, we need to provide with a proper longitudinal slope. So then flow of surface water across the road and shoulders along the slopes should not cause erosion from the cross ruts. So whenever we are providing a side drain, okay, so the slope on different types of the pavement highway elements, for example, a camber from the carriageway, slope of the shoulder, slope of the embankment, the slope should be designed in such a way that it should not be too steep, because when you provide a steep slope, the velocity of water flowing on that will increase. So due to that, there is a possibility that erosion of that sloping material is likely to happen. So then seepage and other source of underground water should be effectively intercepted and drained off by suitable subsurface drainage system. Not only from the surface drainage system or the water coming from the top surfaces, but also the water that is likely to come in contact with the subgrade from below the ground. Even those kind of water should be prevented by providing a proper subsurface drainage system. Then highest level of groundwater table should be kept well below the level of subgrade, preferably at least 1.2 meter. If the highest level of groundwater level is closer than 1.2 meter, then it is desirable to lower the same with well planned and laid subsurface drainage system. So because obviously in some places there will be groundwater table, so which will be almost at the ground level. So in such cases, either we need to take the pavement or pavement on the embankment, or we need to lower the groundwater table, so such that the subgrade should be at least well above 1.2 meter from the highest level of the groundwater table. So the last point, in waterlogged areas, special precautions should be taken, especially if detrimental salts are present or if any flooding is likely to happen. So I'm sorry. Next, we shall discuss about types of drainage system. So the drainage system are broadly classified into two categories. One is surface drainage system and the second one is subsurface drainage system. So these two are the typical figures that represents surface drainage system and the subsurface drainage system. So we shall see first one, surface drainage system. So the surface drainage system has three major components. Okay, the first one is cross slope or camber, the second component is side drain, and the third component is cross drain. So we shall see one by one. The first one is cross slope. So that is collection of surface water. The water from the pavement surface is removed by providing the camber or cross slope to the pavement. So before that, we already know what is camber, how it is provided. So what are the factors that actually affect the provision of camber. So camber is nothing but in case of pavements, highway pavements, the center line of the road is slightly raised with respect to both the edges, thereby forming cross slope on either side of the center line. So what happens here? So as and when rain occurs, the water from this side of the center line will drain to the side drain of this side, and the water on this side of the center line will drain off to this side drain. So now providing this camber is a very important aspect. So that depends on two major factors. One is type of the road surface, and the other one is the amount of rainfall. So different type of pavements will have different type of cambers depending on different type of intensity of rainfall. So this table given by ARC will give you brief idea how to provide camber at different situations. Okay. So next, the second component is side drain. So as we know that the surface drains consists of three components. One is camber that we already discussed, second one is side drain, and the third one is cross drain. So now we shall see the side drain. So the side drain may be of the following types. One is open or kacha drain, the second one embankment drain, third one drains in cutting, and the fourth one is drains in urban areas. We shall discuss one by one. The first one is open or kacha drains. The roadside drains provided in rural areas, especially rural highways will consist of these kind of drains. So when I say rural highways, it includes national highways, state highways, major district roads, or other district roads, and even village roads. So usually these drains are unlined. We are not providing the concrete lining to the surface of the drainages. So now the typical cross section will be usually trapezoidal, which is provided with a proper longitudinal slope, hence it is called as longitudinal drain. So next we shall discuss on the second type, that is drains in embankment. Okay, in plain terrain provided on both sides, so beyond the toe. So if the terrain is plain, so we already know that the terrain is of four types, so that is divided depending on the average cross slope of the country. So one is plain terrain, rolling terrain, then we have mountainous terrain and steep terrain or hilly terrain. So depending on the cross slope values, these are divided into four types of terrain. So in case of plain and rolling terrain, the drains are provided on either side of the embankment beyond the toe. So here you can see, so this is the embankment, so this is the toe. On either side there are drains. Okay, so then in case of sloping terrain, provided on higher side of the embankment beyond toe. If the natural slope of the country is hilly terrain or sloping terrain. Now if the pavement is like this, so now here you can see this side there is a natural valley, no need to provide the drain because the water will likely to flow off to the natural valley. Now the water coming from this hilly area, so should not be allowed to pass through the pavement. So now for that reason I will provide a pavement here beyond the toe, so that water coming from this hill will be collected here and taken to the certain distance, and with the help of cross drainage will be moved to the valley. Okay, so this is in case of embankment. So the third type is drains in cutting. So even in case of cutting, on either side of the pavement we will provide with the side drains. So if the width is insufficient, trench is filled with filler material, then it is provided. So this is a typical example for drains in cutting. Okay, here you can see this is also called as pseudo drain, because so this is completely filled with the filler material of different sizes. Okay, so now this part can also be used for vehicles, for parking and such things. Okay, so if in case width available is less, these kind of drains are provided in cutting. So the last one is drains in urban areas. So limitation of land will be there in case of urban cities. Then presence of footpath, dividing islands and other road facilities will make it still harder to provide a normal open drain. So for that reason, what we do is, in case of urban areas, we provide underground drainage systems. Here you can see, so this is a footpath. So below this there will be drainage. So now the water coming from this ground will be moved to the drainage through these openings. Okay, provided at regular intervals along the length of the road. Here you can see this is a typical figure for drain in urban areas. So this is a footpath, so this is a drain. Okay, this is a pavement. So sometimes if the width available is less, this is provided here below the footpath and these openings are provided here, so in order to increase the carriageway width. Okay, so that constitutes the side drain as a component of surface drainage system. The third one is cross drainage. Third component of the surface drainage is cross drainage work or CD work. Okay, so what it is, sometimes in order to increase, not sometimes, always in order to increase the capacity of the longitudinal drains, so these water that is being taken on this drain needs to diverted to the nearest stream. So for that reason these cross drainages are provided. Okay, so the water being coming from this point is collected and then it is diverted to that side of the road. So from that point it is diverted to nearest stream, nearest valley, or any nearest water disposal area. Okay, so thereby, so now from this point the water coming on this surface will be collected and then carried to the next side drain. From that point it will be again diverted. Like this, at regular intervals these cross drainages are provided. So that makes the third component of surface drainage system. Okay, so with that the theory part on surface drainage system is completed. So the design of surface drainage system will deal once you come back to the college, because in the PPT I cannot explain about the design. So once you come to the college we shall discuss on the design part. Okay, so next, subsurface drainage system. Okay, so far we were discussing on the water that is coming from the top surfaces of the pavement and adjoining land. So now some part of the water precipitation will percolate to the ground. So now that water will start to flow in the form of seepage flow or in the form of capillary rise from the ground local groundwater table. So now these kind of water should be prevented from coming in contact with the subgrade. For that reason we need a subsurface drainage system. So there are three important types where we need to provide subsurface drainage system. So one is by lowering water table. So now the highest level of water table should be fairly below the level of subgrade in order to prevent the subgrade and pavement layers to excessive moisture. So from practical consideration it is suggested that water table should be kept at least 1 to 1.2 meter below the subgrade. In places where water table is high, the best remedy is to take the formation or embankment on the embankment of the height not less than 1 to 1.2 meter. Okay, so when the formation is to be at below general ground level, it would necessary to lower the water table. So in certain cases, if the water table is almost at the ground level, what we do is we'll take the embankment, we'll take the road itself on the embankment, so thereby making the height of the embankment at least 1.2 meter. So if the pavement needs to be constructed below the ground level, so then in such cases we need to we are required to lower the groundwater table. Okay, so now we shall see, if the soil is relatively permeable, it may be possible to lower the high water table by merely construction of longitudinal drainage trenches with a drain pipe and filter sand. So now the depth of the trench would depend on the amount of lowering of water table, the distance between the drainage trenches and soil types. Here you can see, in case of permeable soils, okay, so the groundwater table can be lowered by providing these longitudinal drainage trenches with longitudinal pipe on either side of the pavement. So now here you can see, this was the original groundwater table. After providing these drainage trenches, there is a reduction in groundwater table, the level of groundwater table. Now here you can see the subgrade is kept well above 1.2 meter from the highest level of groundwater table. This is in case of permeable soils. If the soil is relatively less permeable, the lowering of groundwater level may not be adequate at the center of the pavement or in between two longitudinal drainage trenches. Hence, in addition, transverse drains may have to be provided in order to effectively drain off the water and thus lower water table up to the level of transverse drains. So that we shall see in the next slide. Here you can see, if the soil is relatively less permeable or impermeable, okay, so sides no problem, but in the middle portion it will be very difficult to lower the water table. In such cases what we do is, so we will provide the transverse drains in addition to this longitudinal drainage trenches. So now these transverse drains are provided at a depth relatively more than 1.2 meter below subgrade level, so that groundwater table will not rise above this transverse drain. So now even if it is rising, so the water is collected in the transverse drains and then moved to the longitudinal drains, and these transverse drains are provided at regular intervals along the length of the drain. So that concludes the first one. So now second type of subsurface drainage is required, where there is a seepage flow exists. Okay, so when does seepage flow exist? Okay, so especially if the terrain is hilly and our pavement is somewhere here. Okay, now the water coming on this will percolate and will start to percolate to the ground below. So now if there is any impermeable strata below the sloping ground, so now this water is entrapped between this slopy ground and this impervious strata. So since there is a slope, water will start to flow in this direction, and this is called as seepage flow. So now our pavement is here. Okay, so since our pavement is here, subgrade may come somewhere here. So now due to the seepage flow, the subgrade is likely to come in contact with the seepage flow or water. So for that reason, if the seepage zone is at a depth less than 0.6 to 0.9 meter from the subgrade level, longitudinal pipe drain in the trench filled with filter material and clay seal may be constructed to intercept the seepage flow. Here you can see, so this is a impermeable strata, this is a natural sloping ground, so here is somewhere our subgrade. So now if you don't construct this longitudinal trench, so now the original seepage flow is somewhere here, so which may come in contact with the subgrade and cause the pavement failure. So in order to avoid this, so we construct these cut-off drainages. Okay, longitudinal drainage trench with a longitudinal pipe. So once you construct these kind of things, the seepage flow is lowered here or diverted here, so thereby protecting our subgrade. So the third one is control of capillary rise. So if the water reaching the subgrade due to capillary rise is likely to be detrimental, so it is possible to solve the problem by arresting the capillary rise instead of lowering the water table. So now the capillary rise may be checked either by capillary cutoff or any of the following methods. So the first one is a layer of granular material of suitable thickness is provided during the construction of the embankment between subgrade and highest level of subsurface water table. The thickness of the granular capillary cutoff layer should be sufficiently thicker than the anticipated capillary rise within the granular layer, so that capillary water cannot reach above the cutoff layer. So while constructing the embankment, so below the subgrade, 1.2 meter below the subgrade, we will provide a capillary cutoff in the form of either first one, a layer of granular material is provided, or in the second method we will provide capillary cutoff by inserting a impermeable or bituminous layer in place of granular blanket. So that concludes the third type of subsurface drainage system. So next, design of subsurface drainage system is there. So here important thing is to design the filter material or filter material that is required to fill in the longitudinal drainage trenches. So different type of different size of material is used in order to fill that drainage trenches, so that we need to design. Once again this we shall discuss once you come back to the college. Okay, so with that we will conclude this video lecture, and that completes theory part of highway drainage system. So now the remaining part, design part, we shall discuss on once we come back to the college. So thank you very much, hope you all understood. Have a good day.